Why are you so tense, god damn it?
Because I don't know what I'm doing!
Calm down.
This is Manny Pacquiao's Facebook comments, and I'll read it to you. I didn't hear the decision because I believe I won the fight. I want the rematch. It'll make me become a warrior in the ring. And it is on like Donkey Kong now, folks. It is on like Donkey Kong. Also, from Manny Pacquiao's Facebook, the CompuBox final statistics. And those numbers just speak for themselves. Bradley threw more punches. That is it. Manny landed more. His percentages were much higher. He landed more power punches. And most importantly, the dude was hurting Bradley in every round. Virtually every round I saw Bradley getting hurt. The left hand straight, right hooks to the body, overhand lefts. I mean, he was just lighting this dude up for the majority of the fight, and it is just inconceivable the result that these judges have come down with. Who are these people? The only one that has some sort of semblance of sanity is Jerry Roth, but even at the 115-113 in favor of Pacquiao, I still couldn't believe it. Much like Emmanuel Stewart when I first heard that score, 115-113 Pacquiao. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't even believe that it was that close. And I just figured, well, okay, well, there's always some odd judge that always has it scored, a little bit closer maybe than what the fight actually was. But then I heard this second score by C.J. Ross, 115-113 in favor of Bradley. C.J. Ross, Lederman had us warned. Harold Lederman of HBO warned us that this C.J. Ross was an inexperienced, a female boxing judge. Inexperienced, questionable. We should worry about what she is going to put down in her decision. And boy, was Lederman right. Lederman had it like on the money. It was almost prophetic. I felt like that he was looking into some sort of crystal ball. And then you got to Dwayne Ford, who also scored it 115-113 in favor of Bradley, the Desert Storm. I just was in shock. I was in complete, utter shock. I had all my notes ready. I had everything that I wanted to say, and then the decision was read, and this just went out the window. I could not believe it. My mind was blown. Much like Emmanuel Stewart on HBO. He said he couldn't even explain it. It was inexplicable. Jim Lampley actually went over to ESPN's Dan Rafael, who's a senior boxing correspondent, and told him, he said, in all my 30 years of calling fights, I've never seen a judgment like this. This is just completely unreal. And to note, Rafael had the fight scored 11-1 in favor of Pacquiao. I myself had it scored 10 rounds to 2, which would have been 118-110 in favor of Manny Pacquiao. I would have given the 9th round to Bradley and the 12th, and that was almost me being somewhat generous, because the fight that I just saw Manny dominating, complete and utter domination. Not once did Bradley have Pacquiao hurt, ever in this fight. Meanwhile, Pacquiao was hurting this guy, Bradley, consistently round after round after round, landing more power punches. He led in power punch statistics 10 out of the 12 rounds. It is just an injustice. And I want to ask Mr. Ford, Mr. Roth, and Ms. Ross, what are you on, man? What delusions are you seeing? What can I extract from this book? Because I need to know what you have. I need to know what type of schizophrenia you're having, what delusions you are having, what hallucinations you were having, because you did not see the same fight that the whole public saw. The fight that the Associated Press scored 117, 112 in favor of Pacquiao, and that's being generous. The fight that the ESPN Fight Fan Faithful scored 11 rounds to 1 in favor of Pacquiao. What fight were you watching? Who is corrupting you? Who is in your pockets? What did you have to gain? What statement were you trying to make in rendering this decision, this awful, god-awful decision, which in all my life of watching boxing in the last 20 years, it has to be the biggest injustice I've ever seen. Moreover, it's probably the biggest injustice I've ever seen in my life in sport entirely, be it boxing, be it baseball, be it football, whatever. I have not witnessed something as shocking as this since Metta World Peace went up in the stands back when he was known as Ron Artest in Detroit. I was just, my mouth completely dropped and fell to the floor. And my brother, who was half Filipino, we just couldn't speak. We could not believe that this was what was being said. That Manny Pacquiao lost his first fight after 15 consecutive wins, having not lost a battle since 2005 against Eric Morales. It is just unbelievable. Unbelievable. And shocking. Completely, totally, utterly shocking. This is not only a blemish for Manny Pacquiao fan, but it is a blemish for boxing fan. And is it any wonder why people think the sport is corrupt? Is it any wonder why people are turned off by boxing? Do the punch statistics, do the CompuBox stats mean anything? When someone who has dominated a fight so much, when someone has landed, Manny Pacquiao, 100 more punches than his opponent, it's just not right. It's just not right. And I think that deep down, Bradley knows he didn't win. Because what fighter says after, they get their victory when pressed, when asked for an answer by Max Kellerman, what boxer who knows they won a fight, who knows that they truly, honestly won a match, says, well, I gotta go home and look at the tape and see what comes up. Let me put on my glasses like Philly Kuts and watch the tape. You don't do that, pal. Come on. You know deep down that you didn't win. And I give you credit, sir. I give you credit, Mr. Bradley, for hanging in there with the Pac-Man, knowing round after round that in the last minute, 30 seconds, that the storm was coming, that the Filipino tsunami was closing in, round after round, and crush you and hit you with that left. I give you credit, pal, but there is no way in hell that your sporadic jabbing, your periodically non-effective jabbing was enough to defeat Manny Pacquiao. And if anybody thinks that, please leave your comment below and let me hear you. I'll hear you out, pal. I'll hear you out, but I think that, you're living in here. You're living in here in a world of delusions and hallucinations, because you're not seeing the same things that people with a rational mind, a objective mind, if you will. It's just unbelievable, and I'm just still in shock. And I actually had to wait a couple hours, believe it or not, before I could even make a video, because I was just so upset that I was afraid that if I just turned on the camera and started going, that it was going to get really ugly. So I just had to really wait until I calmed down a bit. And but it still hurts. But from what you saw in the beginning of this video with Manny Pacquiao's Facebook comments, he will come back. And that's what champions do. Champions come back. And they overcome. And they let adversity, they let setbacks create their greatness. You see, sometimes we think that when things go wrong, when we suffer a defeat, when someone dear to us dies, when sadness comes, that all is ended. It's not true. It's not true. Because the greatness comes not when things go always good for you, my friends, but the greatness comes when you're really tested, when you take some knocks, some disappointments, when sadness comes. Because only if you have been in the deepest valley can you ever know how magnificent it is to be on the highest mountain. And that's where Manny will be again. Come November, that first week in November, he will be back on that mountain. And you get bonus points, 50-point bonus score if you can identify who said that quote that I just said. All right, guys, this has been Philly Kuts. Keep the faith, brother. Peace. Manny, you're still the champ, buddy. You're still the welterweight champ. I'm out.